A Latvian football match, a beer with a Latvian superfan, a sit down with the most famous American in Latvia, and a conversation with Latvia's biggest football show. Join me as I explore the world through football in Riga.
A little bit more of life beyond the pitch in Riga. I'm obviously at a football game, so we're still on the pitch. It cost me €5 to get into this game.
This stadium itself is situated in a beautiful part of Riga. It's just outside the old town. You probably saw the interesting shaped buildings, which I've been told are Art Nouveau.
I don't know what Art Nouveau really is, but it looks cool.
And one of the beauties of Latvian football is that you can have a pint whilst watching the football. As the sun set in the stadium, it was time for kick-off. This match was underdogs Auda against Valmiera. The game was being played in one of the biggest stadiums in Latvia, Skonto. It is the official home of Riga FC, but Auda are sister clubs and so they share the stadium. Already 1-0 to Valmiera. Only 3 minutes in, they're faster, they're bigger, more of a presence. And everyone in this stadium I think is also supporting Valmiera. Despite the limited numbers, a hardcore group of 20 Valmiera fans brought the noise and the drums. Pretty evenly matched. I would say there's probably 100 to 200 fans here.
I think that's the uniqueness of it. It's a young, fresh league. It's not got much history to it, so these players right now are writing that history.
The second half was pretty evenly matched with not a whole lot of action. Valmiera also missed a penalty to seal the deal and make it 2-0 in the 80th minute. And it's full time. Valmiera 1, Auda 0. The highlight of the match was yet to come for me. The victory saw number 21 from Valmiera jump into the stands and start the winning celebrations. This was a special moment for the fans and players, and it's ultimately what football is all about. And I've actually been invited to have a beer with the biggest supporter of Valmiera, so that's the plan. I left Skonto Stadium and walked 5 minutes round the corner where I met up with Valmiera's superfan, Gunters Indriksons. We enjoyed a victory beer and he gave me his thoughts on Latvian football and life.
Cheers.
Cheers to the victory for Valmiera.
Thanks. And as we said today, 3 points don't stink.
Are you the biggest Valmiera fan in the whole of Latvia?
I went to like 100% games last year. I started to support them right before they got advanced. Previously I was a supporter of Skonto. Now they're not existing anymore.
Okay.
They went bankrupt.
What would you say for you is the best thing about Latvian football?
For Valmiera, it's like really family type atmosphere.
Yeah.
We are really close to the players. You saw the player coming in and hitting drums at the end.
That was amazing. I love that.
Yeah, that's what I like about Latvian football.
Yeah.
In each game, you can still, like the top team can lose to the lower team. You've seen Meta fans. I would say they are the most hardcore Latvian fans. Yeah.
Meta fans?
Yeah.
Yeah? Which clubs gets the biggest attendance?
It's not about the attendance.
It's about the
fans
passion.
support.
Okay, yeah.
Organized group, they are the best.
Halfway through our conversation, a couple of the Valmiera players had popped in with friends to grab a bite to eat and some drinks after the match. Asked for them to join us, but they politely declined. Finished up my pint with the Valmiera Ultra fan, and it was pretty nice. You just get that kind of community aspect here, I think, with these slightly smaller clubs, new fan base. You would never get a team in the top division of Scottish football hanging around with fans after games. It doesn't usually happen. It's one of the beauties of kind of smaller club football. After a well-needed night's sleep, it was time for me to meet more of the people involved in Latvia's football community. Today I was meeting Eric, an American footballer who is now a content creator, coach and general manager of a football club here in Riga. How does an American man find himself in Latvia? You mentioned you've been here for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Why Latvia?
I actually came here when I was 19. I was on trial for FS Jelgava. They were playing in Champions League qualifiers at the time. I didn't even know where Latvia was when I was 19. They told me I would train with the second team for 2 weeks, and if I was good enough, I would train with the first team. After 3 days, they pulled me up to the first team. Did quite well. They were interested in signing me, bringing me on, but obviously you have to play in a game. Had a game the next day at 8:30 a.m. I did what a lot of stupid young 19-year-olds do. Made a couple of stupid decisions. Only slept like 3-4 hours. As a foreign player, you have to be 1.5, 2 times better, show something different. So played the game the next day, didn't play too well, and they told me it just, not good enough to be signed as a foreign professional. So I went back, I kept in touch with this guy named Gins Freimanis, and he asked me if I was interested in coming on board. 3.5 years later, I love this place. As I told you before, it's one of my favorite countries besides the US. And then in terms of the football, I think it's an excellent trampoline for young players to get into a first league system and then make a jump to a Belgium or a Netherlands or a Germany, because there's proof.
Jordan Bender, he's playing in Meta. One American player's made the move. What would you say to others?
Do your due diligence on the country. It comes down to one thing. If you want to pursue the journey of being a pro, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say you're willing to commit. Be willing to spend 2 to 6 to 7 years there. Get into the culture, assimilate, because that will make you grow as a player and a person and give you the best chance.
After sitting down with Eric, it was clear that there are opportunities for players to carve a great career in Latvia. But Eric's message was also very clear. You have to be willing to spend 5, 6, 7 years working away to achieve it. So we have a special meeting this evening with the biggest Latvian football podcast in Latvia. It's also the only Latvian football podcast there is, so that's why it's the biggest. The Latvian Football Podcast is hosted by Latvian Demetrius and Englishman Frank, two men with a real passion for the sport and two men who want to share the beauty of Latvian football with the world. I didn't expect to find an Englishman co-hosting the biggest Latvian football podcast, and so I was intrigued to find out more.
Since following the Latvian League for the past 4 years, I've found it surprisingly quite professional. There's a lot of talent in this country. You get long summer nights here, you get a summer league, and there's nothing better than watching the sun slowly go down with a nice cold beer, sitting in the Skonto, watching some good games.
Yeah. What I like about Latvian football, the game is played for the passion of it, which is something that's lost in larger, glossier leagues. Our largest football stadium is around 8,000. It's still developing, and you get to be part of that development, and you get to see both how players grow, but also how clubs develop. You get to be part of history that in the larger leagues you only get to read about.
I mean, if you're a player, you're not getting enough match time. Latvia is a pretty good place to land.
We grow players here very successfully. We have domestic players. Raymond Scrollis was sold to Spezia in Serie A. But if you want to come here and you want to actually experience living here, don't be off put by people seeming to be distant. Maybe they're not. That's just how we are. We're friendly, but don't come too close. And learn a couple of sentences in Latvian.
After a great conversation with the guys at the show, it started to make sense to me why they are so passionate and excited about Latvian football. They believe Latvian football is currently writing its own history with it being such a new league, and they both feel the country itself has so much to offer for both fans and players. And with that, it was time to take in some more football. I arrived in Jurmala to watch 8th place FK Meta play against 4th place Daugavpils. This was a Sunday afternoon kick-off, and I was really excited to watch FK Meta in action. I had just spent the last few days training with them, and now it was time to see who the training players were and who the match players were. This fixture had attracted approximately 100 fans. The atmosphere wasn't exactly electric, but there was once again a small but passionate group bringing the noise. Within 15 minutes, underdogs FK Meta were 2-0 up. Jordan Bender, a young American player who I had chatted to during the week, got off to a great start in the game too. The team were organised and disciplined, which is exactly the way the manager Andres had coached them over the last few days in training. He put an emphasis on taking responsibility and communicating amongst each other. Within the last 10 minutes, however, Daugavpils had brought it back to 2-2. But FK Meta had one final surprise left in store and saved their winning goal to the 90th minute of the game. Victory for Meta. Finished 3-2, 5-goal thriller. Meta played some good stuff though, some impressive football. Number 10 for Meta, Melness, man of the match for me. A good game to take in as a neutral, semi-neutral. I'm a Meta fan now. After a fantastic day, I hopped off the train on my way back to Riga Old Town to visit one of Latvia's hidden gems, Jurmala Beach. It's been a really fascinating day watching the team. It's a top flight league in a country, but there are 100 to 200 people in the crowd. Albeit the supporters of the club, for example today FK Meta, they are well supported. There's a handful who sing, who bring flags, who bring drums, which is really great to see. In terms of the standard, I would say you couldn't compare this to the top division in England, in France, in Germany, in Spain. But with that being said, who cares? They're here, they're playing in the Versliga. The players, they have a unique opportunity to get 36 games as a first team player under their belt in a top flight league in Europe, which on any CV looks unbelievable. Eventually, it was time to wrap my day up, and I reflected on a busy 24 hours. Riga is a beautiful place, and I was beginning to really warm to life in Latvia. The people are friendly, the football is good, the weather is nice, and there are lots of opportunities in the football space. The final thing for me to do on this trip is to see what life is like beyond the pitch. I'll be meeting historical experts and trying local foods before heading home to Scotland. I'm Sam Wardrop, and this has been The World Through Football.